Welcome to our seventh training video on section 5, where we're talking about ministering through temple and family history activity. Here I ask the question, what comes first, missionary or temple and family history? And you consider within the ward and the callings that you have, what takes higher priority, missionary work or temple and family history? And I see it sometimes within a ward that they will call a ward mission leader, that there's no one called as a temple and family history leader. Is that because temple and family history is sort of like last in the priority list of callings? Let's have a look at this. What's the answer to this question? Well, really, it's the wrong question. It's an irrelevant question. It's the question we should never be asking ourselves of what comes first. In reality, missionary and family history activities are complementary to each other. Ward mission leader and the temple and family history leader, through the Elders Quorum and Relief Society, work together in one coordinated effort. The purpose of all missionary work is to have members get to the temple, to receive their endowments, and to be sealed together as husband and wife and as families. So, missionary work plus family history leads towards participation in the temple. Now, we want people to not just attend the temple, but to participate in the temple. And they do that by taking an ancestor's name to be baptized for them soon after their baptism. We don't just baptize people into the church. We want them to have a testimony of the gospel, so that their baptism and their baptismal covenant means something to them. But it's the same way that as they attend the temple, we just don't want them attending the temple, but to participate. And the way they participate is by finding an ancestor's name, building their family tree, and then taking that name to the temple. It's very much similar to a football game. You can either be a spectator, or you can be someone who actually plays the game. The spectator enjoys the game, especially when their team wins. But who has the greatest joy, the spectator or the player on the field who participates? Both have joy, but it's actually the player on the field who has the greatest joy. So it is the same. Are we just attending the temple, or are we participating in the temple? And we want those new members, when they go to the temple, not just to attend the temple, but to participate. And we do this at the time that the missionaries are teaching them, that they'll learn about eternal families and about identifying their ancestors. They will feel the Spirit, and they will recognize that Spirit when they go to the temple. So we ask that at the time that the missionaries are teaching them, to get the temple and family history consultants involved. As they do so, they will feel the Spirit, and they will begin to understand that profound doctrine that families are forever. Now, in the Gospel Library on your smartphone, I want you to go there and to look up handbooks and callings. Then click on Ward or Branch Callings. Then click on the Elders Quorum or the Relief Society. Click on President. Then as you go down there, it says, what should I focus on? Click on that and then scroll down until you find this section. It says coordinate member, missionary work, and temple and family history work. As it says coordinate, it doesn't talk about them being two separate activities, but they need to be coordinated together. Now, the bishop reads there, the bishop is responsible for member missionary work and temple and family history work in the ward. He may assign you as the elders quorum president to oversee this work. You in turn may delegate these assignments to your counselors, with one counselor overseeing member missionary work and the other overseeing temple and family history work. You and your counselors coordinate the efforts of the ward council to encourage member missionary work and temple and family history. Again, it keeps being stressed, this importance of coordinating. And notice that we're coordinating missionary work and temple and family history work. So many times I see within a ward that there is a ward mission leader, that there's no temple and family history leader or a counselor really taking that responsibility. It's like being on a boat with only one oar. We've only got one oar. What we do is just go round and round in circles. If you want to get anywhere, you need to have both oars working together. Now, this is a video in which President Nelson gave, in which he talks about missionary work and family history activity.
Now there's something else. The major role that family history can play in missionary work. People have an inborn desire to know something about their ancestors. That becomes a natural opportunity for our missionaries. As the missionaries learn to love the people they are contacting, missionaries will naturally ask about their families. Are your parents living? What about your grandparents? Are they living? Do you know your 4 grandparents? Conversations flow easily when those who are drawn to speak with the missionaries are invited to talk about the people that they love. At that point, it can be very natural for the missionaries to ask, do you know any of your great-grandparents? Do you know their names? The probability is that they will not know the names of all 8 of their great-grandparents. Then the missionaries can make this suggestion. I have a friend at our church who can help us. If we could find the names of some, or maybe even all of your great-grandparents, would it be worth a couple of hours of your time to find out who your great-grandparents are? That friend at church, of course, is the Ward Temple and Family History Consultant.
Well, the David A. Bednar made this very important statement. The artificial boundary line we so often place between missionary work, temple and family history work has been erased. This is one great work of salvation. We many times think of missionary work as separate from temple and family history work, but really it's the same work. And it's something that we need to grasp. You know, I've often said that, if we go to someone who's not a member of the church and say, here, read the Book of Mormon, they'll go, no, not interested. But if we talk to them about family history, about who are your grandparents, hey, look, what's your surname? Anything about their family history, they're interested, they're involved. And that can lead into talking about the profound teaching that families are forever and about the eternal nature of marriage. So it's a great work because it's something that people will talk about and it can lead to missionary opportunities. So let's not think of missionary work and temple and family history work as being separate. They are the same work. They are one great work of salvation. Now, there is a handout that I have that you can, from the slides, download. You just download the slides, and in there you'll get the link to this. in which we talk about the power of family history and missionary work, which I give some of the quotes that are there that are maybe made by the brethren. I encourage you to get a copy of this, to read and study it and talk about it as ward leaders. There's also one for the youth and young single adults about gathering the rising generation. Our youth and young single adults can certainly be involved. All members should have actually on their smartphone a copy of the Family Search apps, the Family Tree app, and the Memories app. The good part about those is that you may not have a copy of the Book of Mormon with you, but you will have this with you, and you can talk about family history and show your tree. You can also use it to look at their surname and searching their surname and finding out something about it. It is a great tool, and it can then lead into a missionary discussion. And we've spoken so far as we've spoken, we've talked about the ward organization, how it drives member activity, and through that member activity, participate in the temple. We've spoken about the ward organization, drives it by having a written missionary and temple and family history plan, missionary and temple and family history coordination meetings, ward council about ministering assignments. And then all of those will then drive member activity, whether it be missionary work, family history, youth activity events, come follow me, self-reliance, ministering fulfillment, and sacrament participation. All of those member activities then lead us towards participating in the temple. Members will hold the current temple recommend. They'll be involved in gathering Israel on both sides of the veil. They will better understand their covenants. They're more likely to accept and fulfill church callings and to receive the promised blessing. I encourage you to get an understanding of this, that our whole goal towards organization is to coordinate in one coordinated effort member activity, which will lead to greater participation in the temple. Now, again, there's another handout called Participate in the Temple. I encourage you to download this and, again, to read and study it and discuss it as ward leaders. Now, the whole purpose of our temple and family history plan and meetings is that they should be member activity orientated. And this is the next section that we're going to be looking at, is member activity. And we're going to talk about 3 areas there about how we're going to get there. One is web indexing, the second is family activities, and the third is historical records. So that would be our next section, videos that we're going to be looking at.